Hey there, it's Amanda, and I'm back with better cameras and microphones and all sorts of things in my kitchen, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to be cooking recipes, and today I'm going to be doing a recipe from Crumbs by Ben Mims, and he went and found cookie recipes from all around the world and published them together in one book. And I thought this one from Lithuania, a poppy seed cookie from Lithuania, sounded kind of good. We're going to give it a whirl. And the first thing I'm going to do is put some butter, a stick of butter, it says, into a small saucepan with the poppy seeds, and just until the butter has melted. And I've got my cute little Dansk butter warmer. It's very sweet and cute and has this nice wood handle. Dansk has been making it since probably the late 1950s, early 1960s. So it is kind of a design icon and also has a nice bit of nostalgia. I am now going to measure poppy seeds. And poppy seeds are super popular in Baltic cooking and desserts. And they have a little bit of bitterness, but they have a nice floral quality. Okay, so it calls for a 1/4 cup. Okay, I'm gonna add the poppy seeds to my butter. So just put it on low. All right, so while that's going, wait, I'm gonna position the top racks in the top and bottom thirds of the oven, okay? I'm gonna call that upper third. And I'm gonna call that lower third. We're turning it on to 350. And then we're gonna line baking sheets with parchment paper. Sorry, my baking sheets are really kind of horrific looking, but they're well seasoned. So I like cooking from cookbooks because I've done a lot of recipe development over the years. And that's fun and interesting, but sometimes it's just nice to get into the kitchen and have somebody else tell me what to do. Getting to see cooking through somebody else's mind, it's like a fun exploration. And I also I don't have to think too hard because I can just follow the directions. All right, I hope you're getting my really stylish Amazon slides with the socks. It's quite the fashion moment. You'd want the butter to just melt, which it is sort of doing and also cooking. So I'm going to take it off the heat in a sec, but there's still a big enough lump of butter that I don't want to do that quite yet. Hey there, it's Amanda. It's been a few weeks actually since I have made the video, and in the interim I have learned something about the recipe that I wanted to tell you. Right at this moment I am making a grave error with this recipe, but I don't realize it until later. What happened was that I missed a step. I called Ben, the author, and I asked him what went wrong. We showed him the video, and he identified that I had missed the step of, once the butter was melted with the poppy seeds, you were supposed to re-harden the butter in the refrigerator, and I didn't do that. If you re-harden the butter, then it's just like cold butter, which you're then whipping with sugar, which is a classic thing that you do with cookies. You cream the butter in sugar, it whips air into the butter, which helps the cookies rise. And because I missed that, problems ensued, as you will see. So do I ever break from what they tell me to do? Yeah, I do, because I sometimes think like, well, this doesn't seem like the smartest way to do it, so I'm gonna do it my way. Youngest child and in me. Okay, whoa, the butter's ready. Okay, so let's just turn that off the heat. It says you're supposed to pour the poppy seeds and butter into a bowl, but then you're later doing a hand mixer, and I don't have a hand mixer. I'm gonna just put everything into my KitchenAid mixer. This is New York apartment living here. We're minimal counter space, but maximal fun. Okay, so we're gonna measure a cup of flour. This is a trick I learned from my grandmother. She didn't like to sift flour, so she would just take a whisk and whisk inside her flour container. And it just lightens up and aerates the flour. Now, this recipe is not calling for sifted flour, but I think, flour when it's just sitting in your cabinet kind of compresses and weighs down. So I always think it's a good idea. If you're not gonna be weighing your ingredients, it's a good idea to give it a little bit of aeration. Okay, baking soda, half a teaspoon. So 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And it calls for fine sea salt, but all I've got is kosher, so that's what we're gonna use. Okay, so I've got my dry ingredients in here. Let's just get that a little whisk. I came from a family of big cooks, and my grandmother did a ton of cooking and baking, and she was really just kind of a natural, as was my mom, her daughter. And so I think I absorbed a lot. I sort of learned how to cook by by making mistakes. You know, it was sort of like given an assignment, go figure it out. Here's what you want to do. If you've got a hand mixer, you can do this with a hand mixer, but I don't, so I'm going to use my KitchenAid, and I'm going to use the paddle. Okay, now I'm going to add the sugar. Hold on a second here. 3/4 of a cup. I'm beating on medium speed until light and fluffy. Oh, we're almost there. It's kind of getting, I don't know if I'd call it fluffy, but it's getting light. This is the poppy seed, butter, and sugar. I actually think I'm going to keep beating it a little bit, but you see, it actually looks like clay. You can hear how old this KitchenAid is, like 25 years old, and you can hear the engine is kind of like. All right, so we've got our sugar, poppy seed, butter mixture, and I got an egg, and I just got it out of the fridge so it's cold. I don't like baking with cold ingredients. Every baking writer will tell you should usually use warm egg, like room temperature eggs. I messed up, so there we go. Beat that in. There we go. Okay, I'm supposed to beat until smooth. And now I'm gonna add a tablespoon of lemon juice and a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Beat that in. All right, now I'm going to add the dry ingredients. Here we go. And we're just gonna stir this until a dough forms. So I'm gonna do it on low. This is too loose. So now I'm in a predicament because I missed the step. The dough is not coming together. And so I start improvising. This is like a cake batter kind of consistency. So I'm gonna start by adding a tablespoon of flour at a time, but I'm just gonna fold it in with a spatula. Ben's probably cringing if when he watches this, he'll be like, oh crap. Okay, flour, here we go. So we're adding 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna get a different spatula because I need a bigger one. Here, I'm just gonna show you what 1 tablespoon of flour did. So you can see it's starting to like hold together a little bit, but you're supposed to be able to scoop this with an ice cream scoop. And I feel like you could, but it's just gonna be a puddle on your baking sheet. So I'm gonna do 1 more tablespoon. Okay, so there's 4 tablespoons to a 1/4 cup. So we haven't really added very much. Proportional, see, it's a little stiffer, but I'm gonna do 1 more, and then we'll see. Let me see here, I'm gonna pretend this is this is what we're gonna do. This is gonna be our test. I'm gonna put that down as if it's a baking sheet. I think it's kind of holding. I think I'm gonna stop there.
Oh yeah, you can also split the batter in half, Gemma mentioned.
I could. Let's do it. Let's do it, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna say that's half, okay. All right, so then with this half, we're adding proportionately another tablespoon. This one has the equivalent of 4 tablespoons of a 1/4 cup extra flour, and this one has the equivalent of 3 tablespoons of extra flour. Okay, you guys are gonna remember that for me, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this much. This is the extra flour version. We're gonna take that one. Actually, I'm just gonna put them in at the same time because I feel like it'll be easier on all of us. All right, and then the other batch. Oh yeah, you can see it's already flattening more. Do you see how these are, the ones in this hand are holding their shape a little bit better than the ones on this side. So we've got the ones with a little extra flour on the right and a little less flour on the left. And we're gonna see how they do. They bake for about 15 minutes. Oh, okay, wow. So these have spread a lot. And this is the batch where we added more flour. They look very different from what they look like in the cookbook, but they still look good. So, and I don't think they're gonna take 15 minutes to cook. These are kind of like pancakes that have grown together. This is the one that has less flour in it. So we're gonna give them 2 more minutes, and then I think we're gonna call it. Here we go. Oh, they look nice and toasty. So okay, what we're gonna do now is just do a taste test because we are still gonna operate on the rest of the batter.
Sounds successful.
Very nice. I actually really like the thin and crisp. Maybe we did create a new variation. So I'm gonna put these off to the side. We're gonna add another tablespoon of flour to the remaining batter, combine the batters, and then bake them off and see what happens. Just to remind you, this is what they're supposed to look like. There we go. right? We got some work to do. Okay, we're just gonna quick fill up these baking sheets again and get them back in the oven. They are looking largely the same, maybe a tiny bit thicker. They definitely like stayed in their place a little bit better. I mean, I know they taste good, so I think it's a successful recipe in that way, but they just don't look like they look in the cookbook. So I'm gonna have to reach out to Ben and find out what's going on. All right, but maybe I'll taste one of these for now. These feel a bit, oh yeah, you can tell they're like cakier. I think they're really good. So the cookie tastes great. It doesn't look anything like it's supposed to in the book. It makes a perfectly good cookie. I would highly recommend if you add this extra flour. But I later remade the cookies, rehardening the butter like I was supposed to. So doing the step that I had missed. And the batter holds together beautifully. You don't have to add any extra flour. You can scoop the batter. It bakes well, but it actually bakes and looks almost exactly the same as the cookie that I made. The funny part is just that this happens a lot in cookbooks. Here we are. We have two recipes that work really well and a photo that doesn't look anything like it. But actually, that's not that uncommon in cookbooks. I've seen this a lot with my own cookbooks. I will write a recipe, I will have tested it thoroughly, we will have photographed it, and it all is very consistent, but then somebody might send me a photograph or post it on Instagram, and it looks very different. And that's the beauty of recipes, is because they are really about interpretation. They are guides, they are not scientific formulas. And so it is very likely that that's exactly what happened on the set for Ben's book and many other books, where they baked the cookies. They came out differently than they did for Ben or for me, but there's nothing wrong with them. So I hope you will make these cookies. They're fantastic. And just remember to put the butter and poppy seeds back in the fridge.